Yes, can you hear me and can you see me? Let me know if you can. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. And we are live. I think it's better right now. Yes. Ah, the World Cup is World Cup, so I had to come in earlier because I actually want to go and watch the match. But yes, we must show up, right? Okay, guys. And yes, we are live. We are live. We are live. We are live. Today we're going to talk about something quite interesting, something quite something that all of us go through. You can hear me, you can see me. Please let me know. Okay, yes, you can hear me. Thank you, Favor. Thank you. So today we're talking about something interesting, which is a topic that all of us can relate to in one way or the other. Something that I too have, been through personally and I've struggled with, and I have overcome. Yes, yes, we have overcome. So I'm bringing it to you and I want us to talk about it. Yes. Topic today is think bigger. Think bigger. Yes, think bigger. Sometimes the aim is we should not let our past, to decide our future. That's the subheading of today's discussion. I'm Dr. Chimsom Ogu, your skin and confidence doctor. I help you glow from inside out. I help you reclaim your have a wonderful skin, reclaim your confidence, and find purpose. Thank you for joining me today. And I'm excited. Who is excited? Now, I want to start by saying that, one of the saddest things in life is not necessarily failing, it's actually never becoming the person that God intended you to become because you never believed that you could. Think about that. Are you becoming the person God intended you to be? Or are you shrinking because you don't believe you can be that person? Let that go through your head. Many of us live, inside prisons, invisible prisons that we've actually put ourselves in without even knowing. We didn't even know when it happened. This prison doesn't have walls. It's actually built from fear, from disappointment, from rejection, from trauma that we've been through, from negative words that we heard growing up, or even at some point in our lives, from the experiences we had as children and even as adults. And years later, we sit down and we're adults, but we are still making decisions based on the beliefs that were formed when we were children. Who can relate? Who can relate? Now, today's episode is an invitation for you to break free and have the courage to think big enough and become who God has called you to be. Today's episode is going to help you to dream again, to think bigger, because your future should never remain imprisoned by your past. Who is excited? Now, why do some of us stop dreaming? The truth is that as children, none of us are actually born thinking small, because if you talk to a child, they have the biggest dreams. They believe that everything is possible. Their imagination runs wild. You know, they believe that they can become anything. But the truth is that life starts to happen, and then people start to disappoint us. We start to become rejected, and people start to criticize us. And slowly, our belief starts to dwindle, starts to shrink. We start to also take the belief of the people around us. Then something happens. We experience some kind of trauma, either by what was done to us or what was not done for us. And slowly, these experiences start to shrink our confidence. And we get to a point where, you know, we no longer ask ourselves what is possible. Instead, we ask ourselves, what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? And slowly, this question slowly begins to control our lives, and we are no more able to dream or to think big. The truth is that trauma changes more than our memories. As a doctor, I want us to understand something. Trauma is not simply something that happened to you. It could be something that happened to you, or something that was supposed to happen to you that did not happen, something that was supposed to be done for you that you missed out on. So trauma is a whole, gamut of things. It doesn't just change your behavior, it changes the way you interpret the world, the way you approach problems, the way you think about things that happen to you. It shapes your whole identity if you're not careful and if you let it. When you have repeated pain, um, emotional pain, it teaches your brain to expect danger. So you are on survival mode all the time, on alert. You know, with time, your brain starts to protect you, and you start to avoid risk because you don't want to fail. You don't want to be seen as in a certain way. You stop applying what thought you could do, and you stop speaking, and you stop dreaming. You don't even know when it happens to you. You just simply stop believing. And that's the worst place to be. Not because you are not capable, but because your brain has learned to shrink and hide its potential because it's afraid to be disappointed. So that's your brain protecting you. The truth is that healing is teaching the mind that it is safe to grow again. And that's what I'm here to help you do today. Thinking small doesn't always look small. Sometimes it looks like small excuses, that we give ourselves. You tell yourself that, I don't need much, I'll just manage. You're even afraid to name the amount you need for something. You're afraid to expect something good happen to you. Be like, oh, you give excuses so that you don't have those expectations because you've been hurt before in the past, or you've been disappointed before in the past. Or you tell yourself, oh, I'm too old to start doing this thing. I didn't do it when I was young. It's only young people that are doing it now. Or I'm too young. When I'm older, I will get it. Or you look at yourself, there's a leadership opportunity, and you look down on yourself. And there's some people that when you start to talk to them, the first thing they say to you about themselves is something negative. So you didn't even notice it, but they've already told you, I'm not good at this thing. Because that's the way they see themselves. So they don't even have the courage to venture into whatever you have in mind for them. So they are afraid that and they don't allow themselves dream big enough. Some people can't even imagine themselves maybe leading a parade or leading something as small as maybe a class group because they don't feel like they're good enough. And when you trust it into their hands, they are running away. You tell yourself things like, nothing good ever happens to me. People like me don't succeed. And you defend it by saying, I'm just being realistic. Let's forget, don't be unrealistic. I'm being real. You're not optimistic, you're always pessimistic. You can't even see any good thing happening to you because you have been so hurt and traumatized that you don't believe that you deserve it. Sometimes what we actually call being real is actually fear wearing a different name. I'll say it again. Sometimes when we say I'm trying to be real, I don't want to reach for that thing, or I don't want to believe I'll earn that kind of money. Where am I going to get it from? Is actually fear wearing a different name of I'm real, I'm humble, all those things that we hide behind. Now, there's actually an invisible ceiling that we put on top of ourselves that doesn't allow us to reach. Many of us have created this invisible ceiling over our own lives, not because God has placed that ceiling or there or said that we can't reach it, but because our experiences have. And we unconsciously decide that, for example, someone like me, I didn't go to school, so this is the highest salary that I will earn, or this is the life I can live because I did not go to school, or I did not do this one. We give ourselves excuses for the mediocre dreams that we have or mediocre life that we live, and we feel like it's okay because we're afraid to even imagine that we deserve a good life, and we stay stuck and small. You know, even when you're in a bad relationship, you're like, hey, I deserve it because so and so, and you stay there. This is as far as someone from my background can go. I shouldn't be living in this neighborhood. Who even born me? Then we say those things like that and we believe it. And we have people around us consoling us and telling us that it's true. Meanwhile, God is calling you to do something higher. Even in the Bible, we had examples of that, when in Numbers, when they sent them to, go and look at the land flowing with milk and honey. And people came by and said, we seem like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we look the same to them. You know, I want you to notice something remarkable. The giants never called them grasshoppers. They by themselves decided that they were grasshoppers. They called themselves that. So sometimes before life actually defeats us, we have actually used our own mouth to defeat ourselves. So those Israelites in the Bible, their mindset had already defeated them. I want to ask you, how do you see yourself? Because how you see yourself will influence how you approach opportunities when they present themselves. Do you see yourself like a grasshopper or a giant? If you constantly tell yourself, oh, I'm not enough, oh, I can't do this, that's what you're going to become. And you stay in a space where you miss what God has prepared for you. Let's look at Gideon. God could see that he called him a mighty warrior. But Gideon answered by saying, my clan is the weakest. So he was seeing himself as the least, you know. But God actually saw him in a different way. He saw purpose, while Gideon, saw the limitations. Now, sometimes God is calling you into a future that is bigger than your current mindset, can actually imagine. And some of us draw back, you know, and we actually allow our opinion not let us step into what we are supposed to step into. I want to tell you, don't allow your opinion of yourself, you know, stop you from getting what God has already planned for you. Because most times, we have a limited opinion of who we are, and if we're not careful, it will limit us from getting what we are supposed to get. Even the Bible enjoins us to renew our mind, because transformation starts long before your circumstances change. I repeat it, your transformation starts before you see the changes in your head before they actually become a reality. It begins when the way you think changes. Your life will eventually align and follow the direction of your mind. You can't become what you cannot you cannot imagine. That's just the truth. You can't become what you cannot imagine. If you keep thinking the same way, you will keep being small. You often keep producing the same results. I enjoy you today to think bigger. God tells us to renew our minds because He knows our future depends on it. So God can do more than you in your small mind can imagine. Stop being the limitation for your own blessing for yourself. So sometimes the limitation is not God's ability, it is your own imagination, what you have said you are. Sometimes we pray according to what we believe is possible, not according to there's nothing God cannot do. We haven't afraid, because sometimes we say we have not because we did not ask. So we haven't afraid. Okay, for example, your rent is due, and your landlord is disturbing you, and you just say, no, God, just give me 5,000 for my rent. Crying out loud. If you can pay for 5,000, can't God give you 5 million? Like, really? But because you cannot imagine it, you can't conceive it, you pray small and lose the opportunity to get big. Because if God can answer you for 5,000, can answer you for 5 million. So you cannot, get more than you can imagine. So God invites us to think beyond our limitations and, believe bigger than what we see. Are you going with me? Are you following me? Now, Let's talk about ways that you can help yourself think bigger. The first thing is to identify those limiting beliefs that you have. Write down every belief. There's some things that, even the society gives us some limiting beliefs. Like, for example, only people say, oh, all politicians are bad people. Or they say, all rich people are thieves. There's some limiting beliefs that we've heard in our climb over and over and over that it's it has shaped the way we think about things. You say, oh, you don't shouldn't pray for money, you shouldn't pray for some certain things. There's some beliefs that we have that when you now go somewhere else and say it somewhere else, and they'll be like, "What are you saying?" So the first thing you're going to do is to write down every belief that keeps telling you that you can't do something. Then ask yourself, where did I learn this thing from? How did I start believing this way? Who taught me this? Then continue to ask yourself, is it really true? Am I not able to do this thing? What is the proof that I cannot do it? Or have I just believed a lie for years? That I did not go to school, for example, doesn't mean that I cannot speak in public. Doesn't mean I cannot be rich. But that's not true. There are people that did not go to school that are billionaires. So, what is holding you back? Now, and the second thing you need to do is to heal before you start to build. As accepting that you need healing is not weakness, it's actually a form of strength. It's actually a way of you preparing yourself for bigger things. Because sometimes, even when that big thing comes, if you've not healed yourself, you're going to mess it up. So commit to healing yourself. Sometimes healing may need you to, pray. It may need you to actually get experts, to counsel you, to talk you through it, to help you hold your hand while you, deal with the trauma. Something might have happened to you as a child and all. Attend courses. Healing may require you to forgive whoever hurt you and extend grace to them. Sometimes it may not have been deliberate, sometimes it might have been what you knew at the time. Healing may need you to have honest conversations with yourself first and then with the people that hurt you. Healing may just need time. So you cannot build a confident future that God has prepared for you while you constantly live inside yesterday's pain. Just as simple as that. Another way to, help yourself think bigger is to create a vision board. I had a lecture on vision boards with some of my people just last weekend, and it's something that I really believe in, and it has really helped me. And what it does is that your brain responds to repeated images. So you have a visual representation of that thing that you want. So it helps you imagine. So when you constantly see where you are going, your mind slowly begins to accept it as possible. Yes, your vision board is not magic, it's actually a reminder of what can happen. And somehow your brain aligns it and puts things in place for it to come to pass. Another thing you can do to help you think bigger is to speak to yourself differently. Be kind to yourself. Extend grace. Your words actually shape what you believe about yourself. I want you to stop saying, I will never. I am always broke. All those things that people say, I will never be able to do this thing. I can't. Oh, I'm just not good enough. Replace them with empowering sentences like I am growing, I am becoming, I am learning this, da 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 da. I am capable of anything I put my mind to. Another thing that we should do is is to change your environment. Sometimes your environment may be your biggest thing that is shrinking you because you're trying to grow. The people around you are not growing with you, and they're they're adding to the trauma that you already have. If everybody around you thinks small, you're more likely to think small. Eventually, you will see yourself thinking small too. And even when you think big, they're going to laugh at you and crush that dream. So spend time with people who challenge your thinking. Find people that have gotten to where you want to be. Read about them, learn about them, see what they did to get there. And somehow, when you see people that have gone through what you have gone through, it gives you some kind of belief that anything is possible. Listen to people that teach, great teachers that also help build your self belief in yourself, expose yourself to bigger possibilities. The truth is that your environment influences your expectations. So I join you to one. Also, another thing can help you is to pray bigger. Many times we ask God for things that match our fears or the limitations that we have instead of what He actually promises us. So ask yourself, am I praying from faith or from fear? Or from my limitations? Sometimes the miracle begins when you finally believe that more is possible. So this week, I want you to reflect, get a pen and paper, and ask yourself honestly, what dream have I buried? Who convinced me to start to think small, that I can't achieve more? What fear has been controlling my decisions? What will I attempt if I truly believed God was with me? Ask yourself this question sincerely. Now, for this week, I want you to write down one dream that scares you, that in your present circumstances, it sounds impossible. It sounds like some to you, like based on what you have, where you are at the time, it sounds like, it can never happen. Write it down. Now, create one action step that will help you get closer to that dream that scares you. Build a simple vision board with images that, you know, depict where you want to see yourself in future. You can make it in three in the next 1 year, in the next 5 years. Do that. Speak one affirmation every morning as you get that is connected to that your big vision, and pray specifically over that dream for 7 days. Then start. So for this week, we're going to say affirmations that are going to help us change the way we think and be able to think bigger. Now, say with me, my past does not define my future. I reject limiting beliefs. I am becoming who God created me to be. My mind is expanding every day. I have permission to dream again. My future is greater than my past. God is able to do exceedingly abundantly over all I ask and imagine. So this week I charge you to stop asking, what if I fail? Instead, ask, what if this is the very thing God has been preparing me for? Think bigger, pray bigger, dream bigger, believe bigger, because your life will rarely go beyond the size of your thinking. I'll say this again. Your life will rarely grow beyond the size of your thinking. Don't let your past decide your future. Choose courage every day. Choose healing, choose growth, and above all, choose to become. Thank you for joining me on another episode today. I'm Dr. Chimsom, your Skin and Confidence Doctor, and I help you glow truly from inside out. Thank you for joining me today and have a wonderful, wonderful week. See you same time next week. Bye bye.